What is up, my Squirtleites? It is Zaire King, welcoming you to, instead of a weekly update, a video on the recently unveiled Nintendo Switch, formerly known as the NX, until last Thursday. And I'm going to briefly go over my thoughts on the system. Basically, its functionality first, what I think about it, and, you know, I'm going to present positives and then also criticisms for it, because I always want to be fair in this situation. And on top of that, I am definitely the harshest critic of Nintendo because I do have the highest expectations for them. I'm not going to lie, Nintendo has been a huge letdown for me for, I would say, about the last 7 years. So I didn't really expect a lot coming from the NX, which again is now the Nintendo Switch. So I'm going to play the 3.5-minute trailer over the video for the next 3.5 minutes, with no sound, mind you, because it's just music anyway, and I've got my own little music playing in the background. So enjoy watching that so you can see what I'm talking about. But we're going to jump into this, and I'm going to tell you what I think. So the Nintendo Switch is, in essence, it is like an iPad with two controllers attached to the sides of it, or two halves of a controller. It's literally the same button layout as something like the original, like the Xbox controller. You know, the sticks are is the term parallax, I think? They're like one's above the buttons and the other one's below the buttons on opposite ends. And then you have your two sets of 4 buttons. One's the D-pad, one's your A, X, B, Y, stuff like that. And then, of course, you have your bumpers and triggers on the side. And these attach, again, to this screen, okay? Which, once they're attached, it's kind of like the Wii U gamepad. This gamepad takes cartridges in the back, does not take there's no discs. Everything is built into the gamepad itself. That is what the entire system runs off of. So everything is attached to the system except for the controllers. You can pull off. You can do one of several things. You can either hold them separately, almost like two Wii remotes or two Wii nunchucks, and play that way if you want. You can attach them together on a little dock, which creates a controller of its own, which, by the way, I have to say, of everything in this video, looks the most horrendous to hold. It looks like the half-brother to the Steam controller, and it looks terrible, but luckily there's an alternative. And also, you can, if you're playing multiplayer, give one half to a friend, and you hold the other half, and use it kind of almost like a mini NES controller, which looks a little bit too tiny to work, but apparently it does, and I guess we'll have to see it in action first before I can criticize that too much. And then also there is a Pro Controller alternative, which looks a lot better. So, yeah. Now, the gamepad itself also has a little kickstand on the back that you can use to mount the pad and play on the go. Again, this is all run off of the pad itself. There is nothing else aside from a docking thing that you can put the pad in that you hook to your TV. But all this really seems to be is a output source, basically, just for your TV, and possibly an upscaler. I'm not 100% sure, but that's really all it is. So everything, again, runs on the pad itself, which I have to say, Nintendo, this is a really cool idea. It is not gimmicky in any way. It is actual, useful, potentially convenient hardware. I look at that and I go, right off the bat, I can see why I would buy this over other consoles, or, you know, alongside other consoles. I can see a use for this. I can see how it would be convenient in daily life. I could see why I would want it just from looking at it. That's good, Nintendo. Now, again, we don't really know what the battery life of it when it's in portable mode is. A lot of people are assuming 3 to 4 hours, which sounds very realistic, but at the same time, I really hope there is a portable charging method for this thing, just, you know, in case, you know, you need for longer road trips or something like that. That would be ideal. It would probably be pretty hard considering the power of the system. A lot of speculation is saying it's around the same power as the Xbox One, and portably charging something like that just sounds very, very difficult. So maybe not, but we'll have to see. That aside, this again is a very solid idea. In the trailer, also, they did a couple things that surprised me. One, they focused quite a bit on third party. They showed off, I think, what was it, 6 games? 6 games. They showed off 6 games. First, they showed off Breath of the Wild, and by the way, I know I'm not watching the trailer while this plays, so I'm doing this all off the top of my head. First, they showed Breath of the Wild. Then they showed Skyrim, which was, whoa, Skyrim on a Nintendo console, one, that's kind of a big deal, which in and of itself is kind of a testament to how crap Nintendo's been in the past, but also at the same time is really cool, the idea of playing Skyrim on the go. They also had a Switch version of Splatoon and Mario Kart 8, and then they also had NBA 2K, which is third party, obviously. I mean, they emphasize on third party. Oh, and they also showed off a 3D Mario, which actually looks freeform, which thank goodness for that. I'm so sick of the Mario World and Mario Land crap personally, so that was good to see. But they showed off all that stuff, and then they announced also that they have all sorts of different publishing and development partners that are possibly going to be making software for the Nintendo Switch. Now, I'm going to read these names off, but don't get too excited, because here's the thing. The Wii U also had a lot of partners, quote-unquote, at the beginning of its launch, and look where that went. Most of them jumped ship really quick, because the Wii U just wasn't selling. But if you look at the very early days of the Wii U library, you can see a hefty amount of third-party games. You see Rayman Origins and Legends, you see Tekken Tag Tournament, you see, or Tekken Tag Tournament 2, excuse me. You see Call of Duty Black Ops, you see Assassin's Creed 4. You see those games in the early stages of the Wii U library, and then none the years following that, like at all. So yeah, you can't. Nintendo has to deliver on their end for this to actually be as good as it sounds. But let me name them off. And obviously, you know, these aren't all amazing publishers or developers or anything. They're just, you know, big names. And in fact, some of them are total crap. But anyway, I'll read them off. 505 Games, Activision, Atlas, Bandai Namco, Bethesda, Capcom, EA, From Software, KT, Konami, Level 5, Maximum Games, Platinum Games, Sega, Spike Chunsoft, Square Enix, Take-Two, Telltale Games, THQ Nordic, TT Games, Ubisoft. Like, there are a lot of good names here. Oh, and I guess, and Warner Brothers. Although, Warner Brothers, Ubisoft, Activision, EA, that's not what you want to get excited about. It's the stuff like Bethesda, and it's stuff like From Software, and it's stuff like, well, possibly Capcom, and Atlas, and Platinum Games, and, you know, and Take-Two. You know, you see stuff like that, you go, whoa, you know, Grand Theft Auto on the go, or, you know, the latest Sonic flop on the go, or the next season of The Walking Dead on the go, or, you know, again, Skyrim on the go. Oh, they also had Epic Games in there, too. Yes, the Epic Games that made Gears of War, and then also Paragon and stuff like that. They're in that list, and then they also showed off some engines and whatnot, like Unity and Cryware and stuff like that, but it's a pretty good list. It's a really good list, actually. And hopefully, if Nintendo delivers, more will jump on board. The thing is, Nintendo does need to have hardware that can keep up with the current generation of consoles, because here's the thing. Developers do not want to go through the hassle of trying to make more underpowered versions of their games just to appease a underselling and underperforming console market, which is, again, why they jumped off the Wii U. And it makes feasible sense. It really does that they left the Wii U. If the Switch can deliver on what it's promising, I don't think they're going to have a problem in the slightest, not only keeping these developers on, but adding more to their roster and having a very healthy third-party stream on top of their, obviously, the most solid first-party development in the entire industry. So, Nintendo, I really hope you can, you know, deliver on this. I really do, because this is a fantastic idea. You know, again, as a consumer, I look at this and I say, yes, I want that. It looks convenient. It looks like it can offer me something that the other consoles cannot. And it is just an exciting prospect in general. And it honestly looks like a thing that once I get used to it, I probably won't be able to live without. Like, it is an awesome idea. It is marketed well. It looks like it has good support. It looks like it's doing the things that the Wii U did not do that would make a console sell well. And it looks like Nintendo is directly tackling those problems too, which I appreciate. So, good on you, Nintendo. There are obviously more rumors and speculation floating around, and I don't want to jump into all of that because, I mean, it's always pointless, but it looks good. I'm very impressed, and I'm going to be very closely following the Nintendo Switch leading up to its release. Of course, I'm still going to be critical of Nintendo, because I'll always be critical of Nintendo, because when Nintendo's great, they are the best. But the problem is Nintendo has not been great for quite some time. They have gotten really complacent lately, and not only complacent, but lazy, I almost feel like. And, you know, again, that laziness could possibly be due with the fact that they really were trying to jump from the Wii U early and work on this Nintendo Switch. But that said, they haven't been the Nintendo that we grew up with, not in the slightest. And to see this, you know, even if it does seem a little bit more streamlined, a little bit more adult, a little bit more focused on a more general audience rather than just the family market or whatnot, like the Wii was, it still resonates Nintendo because it resonates with a proper kind of innovation from Nintendo. I'm not talking the Virtual Boy. I'm not talking about the gamepad, which only felt like an accessory to a Wii, even though it technically was a more powerful console, but no one really understood that. I'm not talking that Nintendo. I'm talking the Nintendo that made the actual leap to 64-bit. I'm talking the Nintendo that actually made, you know, a system that, while wasn't great motion control, it was easy to understand. You know, it's something that, you know, again, is appealing. And that right there, I think, is the hallmark of Nintendo. So, good on you, Nintendo. Let's hopefully see some more in the future. Of course, we're not going to get any more news until next year. But, yeah, those are my thoughts on the Nintendo Switch reveal.